None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you, good night, and God bless America.
For many Americans, as well as for many millions of people around the world, those final words of President George W. Bush's Oval Office address to the nation on the night of September 11, 2001, will forever be ingrained in our memory. For so many of us, it is a day we will never forget, but little did we know that evening there was an entirely different story playing out 1,700 miles northeast of the White House. Welcome back to the Check-In with Bryan. I'm your host, Bryan Fish, and with the 24th anniversary of 9/11 still close in our hearts, today's episode is about remembering how in times of crisis, kindness and hospitality bring people together. All week long, audiences have been filling the Lyric Theatre in Belfast for sold-out performances of Irene Sankoff and David Hines' Tony and Olivier Award-winning musical Come From Away. The original production of Come From Away premiered in 2013 in Ontario, Canada, before moving to Broadway in 2017, and subsequently opening in London's West End in January 2019, where it captured hearts performance after performance of people who in many cases had also come from away. It tells a story of how, in the wake of September 11th terrorist attacks in the United States, the people of Gander, Newfoundland opened their homes and hearts to thousands of stranded passengers, many of whom had no idea why they were landing in what they perceived to be the middle of nowhere. Those approximately 7,000 passengers from 38 commercial aircraft found themselves in a situation that would make a permanent mark on their lives, leaving lasting memories not just for themselves, but for the local community that cared for them over those 5 September days. And that's why this show feels so connected to what we talk about here every week on the Check-In. Hospitality, because hospitality isn't just hotels or restaurants or travel, it's the act of welcoming strangers, of creating safety and comfort and belonging when it's needed most. It is understanding the meaning of not just being empathetic, but truly providing comfort. That's what the people of Gander did. This is what this cast has been bringing to life on stage night after night. Well, welcome back. I'm joined with Fiona, Keegan, and Michelle Hannaway, part of the company with St. Agnes' Choral Society's production of Come From Away. And ladies, I have been blown away all week.
Thank you.
Absolutely blown away. I gotta ask, what made you audition for this show specifically?
I saw this show, I think I've seen it 5 times now by professional companies, both here in Ireland, in London and in New York. And I fell in love with the show immediately. I think the Irish connection was my first in with it. The music itself, from the opening number, the audience are drawn in. And I suppose for me, real people we're portraying on stage. It's the idea, it's not made up fantasy. We've done lots of shows together in the past that have been written, beautiful shows, but they're all made up characters. Whereas the joy and the beauty of this show is that we are representing and hopefully portraying the beautiful stories of people's lives during that atrocity of 9/11. And whilst there's such sadness throughout the show, and I cried many times the first time I saw it, and even on stage here in the Lyric Theatre, the joy and the connection and the friendships that was felt there, and I think the audience just feel that's palpable from the stage, and it just goes out and trickles out to the audiences.
Yeah.
That's why I
You
loved
always make me start to... yours, part near the end, which we won't give the spoiler, but yours is where my tears start.
it. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then the
to
glasses
trickle.
come
Yeah.
off. So,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yeah.
why did you audition?
Similarly to Fiona, everything that she said, but also I had listened to the score and the soundtrack and fell in love with the music and the storyline. And I think it's been written so beautifully by Irene and David. And for us to be able to showcase that in the Lyric Theatre in Belfast is really something so special for us. And also when I heard that we would be working again with our director, Rachel Logan-Fee, with Andrew Robinson, our musical director, and with Amy Blackshaw, I was like, well, that's the dream team. We've got to be a part of that, or I've got to be a part of that with them again. I just knew it was going to be so special because of who we had.
No, that's fantastic. And the director, I mean, it's directed beautifully.
Yeah.
I mean, the design is amazing. Every detail is like thought of, even down to like the cell phones.
Yeah.
For those of you that, no, most of you, like all of you actually play multiple characters.
Yes.
So some of you end up with cell phones in your hands during some of the scenes. And it was funny when we were setting up to film, I saw the phones up close. I should have known because I've been seeing them, but like how long has it been since you held a phone that doesn't have a huge touchscreen on
I know.
It's actually my own phone that I use on stage. I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I've kept all my phones throughout the years. So my phone and Beulah's phone belong to me. They came from my drawer, yeah.
Hey, you know,
That's
recycling.
amazing.
They're original, yeah. They're OGs.
Now, Michelle, you play Beverly in the show as well. What is it about the character Beverly that you love so much?
Well, Captain Beverly Bass, I mean, she's an icon. She was the first female American captain for American Airlines. And, you know, she's a real person. She really exists. And I just think she is absolutely amazing in every way. I've watched footage of Beverly speaking about her experience at 9/11 and her time in Newfoundland. I've literally anything that I could get my hands on to watch Beverly speaking about, I've done. I've researched her, and to actually play her on stage is just mind-blowing for me. Such an amazing opportunity, and I mean, I just think she's astonishing.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Like, for me, I was born in 1986, so the fact that she was the first female captain for American Airlines in 1986,
In 1986, yeah.
was crazy to think of. For me, when I first saw the show and like made that connection, and it was already a little jarring seeing the show the first time. Have you gotten to speak with her at all?
No, I did try to reach out to her, but I'm sure she just gets so many people. But, you know, everything that I've watched about her has just been so inspiring. So it's a privilege, really is a privilege for me to try and portray her to the best of my abilities every night.
And how did you nail the Dallas-Fort Worth-based crew accent? Because it's very specific.
Thank you so much. I just watched her. I watched how she spoke, and she wasn't kind of, you know, slow, drawn out, you know, she didn't have that kind of drawl. She was more kind of high energy with her pace of speech and everything. So I'm really glad you think I nailed her accent.
I mean, I've flown American Airlines many thousands of miles, many times. And the first night I was here and I heard it, I was like, oh my God, like she literally sounds, because Dallas-Fort Worth-based crew have a very specific sound, and you nailed it. And funny enough, I actually, on the way to the lyric today, I was listening to the original cast recording of the show, and your number towards the end is one of the ones that are my favorites in the show. And the original person that played it, the accent's not even as close. So you did a very good job.
That is such a compliment,
I mean, of all the things for me to pick up, but I travel so much, it's like I just know those sounds.
Know.
But you did an excellent job.
That is such a compliment. Thank you, Bryan. Because I must say, I've watched Jen Colella, obviously, as well, and I've watched our very own Rachel Tucker, who's from Belfast, portray the role of Beverly Bass. And for me, those two actresses are out of this world. So I've kind of just picked up pieces from the real Beverly and from those two performers to add to my own interpretation as well. So I appreciate that feedback. Thanks.
Well, excellent job. And I don't know how you're going to do those numbers twice in one day, but you do.
Yeah.
So now, Fiona, you have an interesting connection.
Yeah.
So your character, Hannah O'Rourke, recently passed in August. And did you have a chance to speak with her at all before? Or
No, we didn't, but we did reach out to all the plane people, as we call them, in preparation for our performance. And we sadly learned that Hannah had passed away just in August. But her daughter has sent us the most beautiful message of encouragement for us, but gratefulness that we are keeping her mother's legacy alive on stage, and her wonderful story, the story of Hannah, the bereft mum on stage.
Yeah. Now, do you have children yourself?
I don't, but I'm the principal of a very large school.
So you have many children.
600 children.
Okay. So, and I asked that because especially Hannah's story in the show and in real life is the fact that, you know, she spent the whole time worrying about her son, who was a firefighter, correct?
Correct.
In New York City. You don't find out until later, once Hannah's gotten back home, that he's been lost in the tragedy. But how did you channel those emotions and understanding, like, because it's very different when I think it's very different for a parent to lose a child.
Of course. I think I imagine I have nieces and nephews. I try to put myself in those shoes, even children in school. Loss is loss. I've lost people in my own life. My father passed away a number of years ago. So I think it's channeling those feelings and that raw emotion, but alongside that unending hope that he might still be okay. And I think a mother's love is unconditional. And I think she probably knew in her heart of hearts that maybe the news wasn't good. I would imagine a mum would know that. But her hope and her never-ending capacity to hope that he was still alive, and the hope that she gave, I think, a lot of other people that were stranded with her in Gander not to give up and not to go to that darkness. And I think the moment, particularly in the prayer, "Make me a channel of your peace," where she's saying, you know, when there's despair, let me bring hope. Where there's darkness, only light. And that's the only way she was going to get through those 5 days. Because she may not have got back on a plane to fly home if she had known the answer beforehand.
Right.
So I think myself, I just try to put myself in those shoes and channel that emotion as best I can, and loss is loss.
And you did so beautifully. I mean, every night we're on stage, and I know last night the tears were actually streaming down my face when Fiona...
I was going to say, like, how does the company keep it together in that moment? Because it's just such a raw moment that hits you.
Usually we do. Some of us can keep it together and some of us don't. Then you kind of lean on the strong ones on the night. And you just have to put it back in for the next number. But it's so heartfelt that actually we have that emotional reaction to Fiona's character. So
which is it's the human reaction to that. I mean, it's one of those things that just breaks your heart as soon as you know it.
There's so many parts in the show, in the rehearsal room, that we have had to take a moment after doing it and are setting a number, several parts. Like when VJ experiences as a Muslim being strip searched in the airport, when we set that moment, we all in the room had to go, can we just take a moment now? Because that was really hard to watch and hard to set.
Very hard.
And I think it's that idea of not becoming cold to it, that every night's a new audience and they deserve the best. And you try to come on stage raw again with all of those emotions.
And it is interesting, like when you're in the audience and those moments happen, especially the moment when he does get strip searched, hearing the people around you in the audience like gasp. Like that they could possibly do that. And I think today we find it to be a normal thing. It would happen today. Whereas then it was not something that I think anybody, I'm sure even Beverly,
Herself.
it was an unusual situation. So lastly, 9/11, obviously we just had the 24th anniversary. Do you remember where you were when you found out?
I was in my classroom. My children had just left for the day, and it was our caretaker, our building supervisor, who came in to say that he'd heard on the radio that something big had happened in America. We didn't know what it was. And the television was brought into one classroom, and as a staff we just sat and watched those images for hours, to quote a line from the show. And we sat and nobody left. We just felt we couldn't go home, we couldn't leave until we were there for those people. And I think we all went home that evening and hugged our loved ones tighter than we had before, because we saw what had happened. It was awful.
Yeah. And for me, I was actually, I was at school, coming home from school. I was 17 when it happened, and with a friend, and we heard it on the radio. So I actually, like my other character, Annette, I did hear it on the radio for the first time, and I went, this can't be real. This is, a sick prank or something, And I got into the house. My mum had it on TV and was like, Michelle, look at this. But I think at that age, I was like, this is like something out of a movie or something, it couldn't be real life. But it actually hit me properly, I think, a few years later. Myself and my now husband, we went to visit friends in Europe. We stayed with them and went into New York for the day, and we went to Ground Zero. And the feeling there, it was really difficult to put into words how we felt when we were there. But it was eerie. It was just, honestly,
and it's still, I mean, it honestly still is when you go to the memorial there. It just, because and especially when you witnessed it, I watched it. I watched them fall live on TV in school, which, Tyler and I have talked about. It's like, I don't even know, like, I don't know if that was the best plan.
No.
It was to cancel classes for the day and then like have everybody watch for,
know.
the next 6 hours. But it's very chilling when you go and you remember what had happened. So, to wrap up, what do you feel like you want people to take away from the show in terms of like where we are today as a society, where we are as people?
I think we've came a long way as a society, certainly here. But I think it's humanity, really, just human nature and how you respond to things in a crisis. The people of Newfoundland just opened up their hearts and their homes to anyone that was in need. And I think as a society, we naturally do that. Definitely here in Ireland, we're very welcoming and we're always looking out for each other. I'd love to see more of that, actually, if I'm being honest. Today around the world, I would love to see more humanity.
Yeah.
Kindness. I think that's the word that comes out for me. Friendship and kindness, and noticing others in need and not just walking by and thinking somebody else will pick up the pieces, that we all have a role to play. And if you're the first person there, that you should do what you can to help and to be kind.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Congratulations on an amazing run.
Thank you.
A sold out run.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful and you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Bryan, thank you so much.
Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome. I'm joined now by Gareth McGreevy, the chairperson of St. Agnes's Choral Society, as well as Kat McAleavey, who is the PR marketing guru for the whole Choral Society or just the show?
The whole Choral Society.
The whole everything. Okay. I was trying to do some digging and I was like, I couldn't. Your name was all over the place and I couldn't figure it out. So I have to.
I'm
ask.
everywhere.
You're everywhere. First of all, congratulations! A sold out run all week at the Lyric. How does that feel?
Amazing. It's our first time as a company here in the Lyric Theatre, which is an absolute privilege for us. We've been wanting to be in here for a long time now, and we're here doing this tremendously special show. And I think just the theatre itself fits the ambience and the nature of the show and the story that it is as well, because it's a really
100%.
good community theatre. It's been special. The audience reaction has been phenomenal in terms of the artistic vision of the show, and that's led to the sellout that we have. So it's been tremendous.
No, I completely agree. The setting couldn't be better because it's nice and intimate and really helps tell the story. From a marketing perspective, the decision was made to run this over 2 weekends. And was that nerve-wracking at first when you started this process?
A little, but actually for me, it's a dream because I know how incredible our performers are. And every time we have a show, we're normally doing a 1 week run, usually Tuesday to Saturday. And it always gets to about Thursday. And that's when it starts really selling out because enough people have come to Tuesday and Wednesday, told their friends. Whereas because we had the 2 weeks here, it was actually such an opportunity to rely on that word of mouth piece and to amplify the word of mouth. So I've actually really enjoyed being able to sort of interview audience members. We've had reviewers and all that kind of thing and show people this is what people are actually saying about the show. So it was a gift for me, really, although it was double the amount of shows. It's a different capacity from other theatres we've played, a whole new audience. So the Lyric have been incredible with us as well. They've exposed us to their, core fan base because we wouldn't have previously had access to them. And then, we've been able to use the word of mouth, the amount of people who've come. And then as they're leaving, the box office told me the other day, they're leaving, they're booking to go see it again. And now that we're sold out, so they're annoyed that when they leave, there's no tickets to buy.
There's an expansive waiting list, for the show.
Yeah.
Which
you could go another week.
We could.
Yeah.
We could.
could.
We just can't.
Physically.
Physically, in real life has to take in at some point.
Yeah.
So Gareth, going back, I guess it's been 9 months now, like giving birth almost in a way. What was your original reason for wanting to apply to do this? Of all the productions you could have selected, why was this the one you wanted?
I think it's two-pronged. Personally, I adore this show. I adore what it stands for. And I think now more than ever in the world, it's a message that's needed, one of community, compassion, hope, generosity, in light of such a disaster that did happen in the United States and the ripple effect that had around the world. And we're seeing that in other parts of the world at the minute. So I think, for me personally, I love the show. I've seen it 11 times, and I've now been in it as many as I've seen it.
11 right now,
So personally, I love the show, and that was one of the reasons. And obviously, I'm chairperson of the committee, so we sat and chatted about it as a committee as well, and is it something we would want to do? It's a first for St. Agnes's because we normally do a massive full company show. We never do a smaller scale show. And the company have been so supportive of that decision. But then when you look at our company and the talent that we have in it, we knew we had the talent to put this show on. We knew we have our front line of 12 people who could literally take this show to the next level, and they have. And so, yeah, it's the two-pronged approach, but the committee have been so supportive, the company have been so supportive, and it's just flourished into this, as you said, a beautiful baby that has taken 9 months to get here.
I just put that together. I was like, wait a minute, it was like 9 months ago. Like, I remember you first mentioning it, that you were going to even apply for the rights.
I think when we got the rights, we were like, oh.
Yeah, we almost didn't expect it.
It's the first amateur company to perform it, to get the rights to perform it
on the island
of Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was so special as well. And there have been so many special things. It's just all fallen into place.
Completely.
It's just, it's been magic.
That's what makes it good. Like,
Yeah.
And I will say, like, and I've seen it multiple times. I saw it in New York. I've seen it on the West End. Honestly, if you put a blindfold on me and just put me in the audience, I wouldn't know that I wasn't sitting in either of those cities. So the company's done an amazing job. I will say, to your point, it's a small cast. It's 12 people. And, you know, the last time we were here for a show for St. Agnes's, it was a major musical production.
Yeah, 60 plus, I think.
60 plus people. I will say it's interesting. I've gotten to experience the front of house team every night that I've been here, who are also members. And it is so true. They are all so supportive of that group of 12. I don't know that you would find that everywhere. So I feel like that's got to be something special here in Belfast. It was interesting just to see other people like that I knew were in the group, but it's like everyone's their children. They're so proud of them.
Absolutely. We're all rooting for everyone on stage. No one's throwing marbles, hoping that, you know, someone has to call out. It's a mammoth task being in this show. And it's something that a number of us were like, I love this show. It's one of my favorite shows, but I could not be in it personally. It's you know, it's such a big task. I'm very much a stand in the back and say one line kind of gal. So, you know, it was never going to be that for me, but I am here to be the base on which people can do the show. We're so proud of them. We know the talent's there. I watch it now, and I've said this several times, I cannot imagine a different cast now. I can't imagine anyone else in there because everyone plays their own part so well, but then the gel of the company is incredible, and you've all sacrificed your summers really to get there and rehearse and do all of this. Again, not a lot of people would have made that sacrifice.
Right.
So I think that's why so many of us are able to actually get involved in other things, do in front of house. You know, I wouldn't only be able to do that because you're normally running around, you know, backstage. And so it's nice to actually find a completely different side to things and get involved. You know, although we're not the ones up on stage every night, we're definitely feel involved with the whole thing and the whole process. And that's a credit to the production team as well, making sure that people feel involved. There's, you know, members who have contributed their own items as props and things that are used in the show.
Cell phones.
Yeah.
You knew
cell phones.
Fiona is a hoarder.
Yeah, some of them are actually her phones, aren't they?
I would have never guessed.
Yeah. Just imagine a room full of phones. But yeah, so everyone has been involved and brought in, and you know, I would say absolutely it's completely a team effort, even though all 60 of us aren't on stage as we normally are.
Yeah.
You know, it's been great to have everyone.
Fantastic.
All over.
So now, Gareth, you're in the show, and obviously it's a unique situation because with this production, everyone's playing a real character. Now, you've had the opportunity, I know, to actually speak with the real Kevin T.
The real Kevin T. Yeah,
What has that been like?
That's been amazing. Do you know, Kevin's story is something that is so poignant, I think, at the minute. Again, I keep coming back to why it's so poignant in the world in which we live. He started a charity called Pay It Forward 9/11, which is to do random good deeds for strangers. And I think in a world where it's so volatile at the minute, that is such a nice message to have out there. So we are supporting Kevin's charity as part of our run here in the Lyric, and we've already raised over $1,500 US, which is amazing. And Kevin rang me the other night on 9/11. As I was about to get into bed after a show, and a line from the show is, "It's the first time I allowed myself to cry." And it was that night I sat down and I was like, oh, the show is so special, but what we're doing is so special because we are paying it forward. And kindly supported by yourselves, we were able to surprise the audience in here the other night and do random good deeds.
Yes.
And that was so special. You know, seeing people's reaction to that and actually getting to talk to somebody. I think that's the power of this show, because it's all based on real life characters or a culmination of characters. So one minute I'm playing the bus driver who was on strike. The next minute I'm playing one of the come from away characters who was stranded in this. He was in a relationship with somebody who he really loved, and there was just this friction, and then it split apart because of the situation they found themselves in. that's special to do that, to try and portray that on stage. So getting to talk to the character who's actually is the character has been special as well.
Because it's a rare occurrence, right? It doesn't typically happen because it's usually, most of these are usually works of fiction.
Yeah, you weren't able to phone Lurch when you were in Adam's Family, for
I
example.
don't think, we weren't calling Lurch, you know, and I guess let's take a step back, because you did mention about like the times that we're living in right now. And I'll say, and it would be curious to hear from both of you, having grown up here, you know, it dawned on me earlier this week that, you know, I was putting the timeline together, and I realized, I'm like, obviously Northern Ireland had gone through their issues, through the Troubles, and Bill Clinton had been here in 1995. And he, at some point in the speech that he had given here, talked about the fact that we had so many different religions in the United States, and, you know, and that was part of the underlying issues here with the Troubles. And then it was just 6 years later that we experienced this at home. I'm just curious, from that perspective, given the history of Northern Ireland, and then seeing what did transpire, you know, so shortly after, have you made that connection at all? Is there anything there? Because I can say, as an American, like, there are people with our situations today looking back at it and saying, you know, they're running documentaries and different things saying, what can we learn from what happened in Northern Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, I'm extremely lucky. I was born in 1990, so any of the conflict I lived through, I barely remember. But it meant then I was in that post-treaty generation where, you know, there was so much community and so much togetherness, and that was really what the emphasis was. I was 11 when 9/11 happened, and so again, it was one of the first really shocking things I remember happening. And it did feel like a sort of moment towards the end of my childhood, you know, heading into those teenage years and really growing up, and the war and everything that came afterwards. But again, because that focus for me had always been look for the helpers, look at the community, look at the great place that we're building together. Actually, most of my memories are from going to a protest about the war together and feeling that real togetherness with other people that were at that protest. I remember, you know, speaking with other people about it. I actually don't remember a whole lot about the difficulties at the time. I remember more about people coming together and the experiences of that. Obviously, there were, you know, lots of divisions in communities afterwards. And yeah, that's something that we've had. But again, we, for the majority, work through that and all work together. And I just would like to hope that that happens more in the world, particularly now.
Yeah, I think there are two different situations in many respects. Do you know, I think the ripple effect that 9/11 had across the world has been felt and is still being felt today. Like, if you even think about it, when you go into an airport now, a lot of the security checks are in place due to 9/11.
Yeah.
I believe most of them.
Yeah.
So I think the profound effect that one day had changed the world. I would say what happened in Northern Ireland has changed this island and beyond over a period of time. But I think it was the impact on one day, and that impact that one day had on the world was just so immense that I suppose equating them is quite hard to do, but at the same time,
and I don't think you can equate them really.
No, but there are similarities in terms of community, in terms of coming together, in terms of, you know, fighting against wrong and evil in the world. You know, 100%. But like, everyone will always remember where they were on 9/11.
Right. You know, one went on, was a very localized conflict, essentially globally, and it went on for an elongated period of time. Whereas 9/11 was very much and everybody felt it. Globally, and if you didn't know someone, somebody you knew may have known someone, or something was connected. So, do either one of you remember where you were and what you were doing when you found out?
I was on the school bus on the way home when I found out, and I can still picture the phone that I had in my hand.
Was it a Nokia?
It was.
Okay, everybody has a Nokia. Everybody has a Nokia.
3210, I think it was.
Okay.
Oh, fancy.
And I remember I remember the position I was in. I was slouched up against the window of the bus facing this way into the aisle. I just remember reading it going, what? And as you said, it was one of my first ever vivid memories of, whoa, what has happened? And I remember going home that night and trying to watch the news, and my parents were like, no, you know, you don't need to see this. Do you know?
Yeah, I was coming home from primary 7, which is our last year of primary school here, you know, the first school you go to. And I just remember it being such a gorgeous day, blue skies, and the way my house was at the time, there was the front door, but I didn't have a key. So I walked around the back, and there was a window in the kitchen, and I could see my mum watching the TV in the kitchen like this, and she barely even sort of acknowledged me, and I went by and I was like, that's weird. Walked around then to get to the door, and she stood at the doorway. She'd realised I'd come home, and she stood at the doorway, and she was like, before I let you in, there's something I need to tell you. And so she was blocking the TV with her back. That's why she was standing in the doorway. So she could explain to me what happened, and then she turned and let me sort of see it on the TV. And it was that moment of disbelief. Like, what am I even looking at here? And yeah, for me, it does feel like a real defining moment of like, childhood time is leaving now. It's big girl time. And, you know, my mum spoke to me like that. You know, she spoke to me really in a really adult way and sort of let me learn about it that way. And it's really stuck with me.
It's interesting to hear it that way, because obviously I was in ninth grade in social studies. In high school, I think it would be the second of two here. Yeah. I remember like exactly where I was sitting. I remember the room number, everything about the whole situation. One of the like gifts that I kind of feel like I'm taking away from this week with this run is after the gala night performance, that people were stopping and telling me, you know, their story about like they remember this, and it wasn't really till this week that it really hit me. Like
everyone remembers.
Like it affected truly everybody on some level, because even for me and, you know, the people that my friends that I grew up with, it was our first like that was when your adulthood started at that time.
Absolutely.
You know, to your earlier point, I think, you know, really politics aside, at the end of the day, it's, you know, we almost kind of need to remember what happened, because that did bring a lot of people together. Let's talk about something a little happier. So the people of Gander. I mean, you know, obviously, like on this podcast, what I do for my normal day job, it's all hospitality driven, and it's all about people, and it's all about making people feel good. Like that's our whole thing, and empathy and all those things. I think the Irish are very hospitable. I mean, I was given a cookie at the post office yesterday. How does that happen?
By this.
To have these 38 planes, they're on an airport that is not a major, that's really only used for emergencies at this point, for all these people to show up, and then they just get together. Like, can you even imagine it?
I know. There wasn't a second thought by those people. It was just the door was open. Yes, and we will. How can we help?
And it's not fictionalized for the show, correct?
Not at all. And that's the power of the show. People don't know that. People don't know that story. No. I had friends in today at the matinee, and they turned around and said to me, they were like, why have we never heard this story? And I was like, well, that's the joy of this musical. And the more it spreads, the more people will know that from that tragic day came such good deeds in Newfoundland and Gander, and the spread of love throughout the world. We actually had a come from away person here in the auditorium last Sunday. She didn't know about the show. She didn't know about the content of the show. Her husband brought her as a surprise. She sat in the auditorium and she sobbed sore, because she said it did her time in Gander so much justice, and it was like a true depiction of what she went through. Apart from kissing the fish, she didn't kiss the fish. But she went round. She was a violin player, fiddle player. She went round on the back of a buggy round like different pubs doing the pub tours, and she said she got the biggest welcome, and she sat in that auditorium, and she had to come back a second night because she had to gather herself, compose herself, and she loved it. She loved the show. She loved what it stood for. And she said it was such a true depiction of the time that she went through in Newfoundland. So if we're doing that justice, that's a bonus for us as well. But the power that those people had in people's lives, like we see Nick and Diane are now together and now married, and still loved up. 24 years later, you know.
See, something beautiful can always come out of a tragedy.
Absolutely. And that's what you have to focus on. Because if you just focused on the bad, you drive yourself crazy.
And I think and I'll be honest, the first time I went to see the show in New York, I didn't know what it was actually about. Somebody had said, oh, well, it's about 9/11. I had an option of going to see it or something else, and I ended up going to see Come From Away. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I going to watch this? Like, I already know what happened, like, and what are they possibly going to do? And I, just like everybody else that's seen the show, you just didn't know. It's like, who knew that, you know, 2,000 miles away from home, while we're all like glued to the TV and like watching and worried about what's going on, this community is taking care of 7,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, it just blows my mind.
There's a line in the show, you know, where someone says, you would have done the same.
Yeah.
And I always laugh at that because that particular character they're speaking to at the start of the show would not have done the same.
Yeah.
And by the end of the show would. I think, you know, if you were to speak to one of these people and say, like, I can't believe you've done that, that's incredible. They just go, well, of course I did. You know, there just wouldn't have been a second thought. There wouldn't have been a negative. They did what they thought they had to do. And that's just what's beautiful about it.
So if anyone, like any audience members, and even like, let's throw the company into this too, what do you hope that everybody takes away from this week?
The power of humanity in a time of desperation can be very powerful if you do the right thing. And I think that that's a very powerful message to take away in light of what's happening in 2025 around the world. You know, one small deed and one random act of kindness, just do it. For a stranger, just do it. And it can have the power to change somebody's life.
And for me, it's leading with good intention. You know, leading with the intention that this is going to work out. You're going to make a friend. Don't lead with that negativity and that hatred. You know, there's a scene in the show where people let their biases build up. And it's one of the hardest parts to watch. Whereas actually the scenes where people just lead with you're a new friend, it is just what's so beautiful. So for me, it's just leading with kindness and that positivity and welcoming spirit.
Well, I can definitely say I think the audience is feeling the effect. I wish that you could do another 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah. So do we. Like tonight's going to be an emotional mess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so we're not looking forward to it.
I was going to say, like, coming off of this, like, how do you decompress?
Well, I'm going to Alaska.
You're kind of going to Canada.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. Like,
Yeah. No, it's going to be a hard one. It's going to, like any show that you do that you invest a lot of time into, is you have a hard come down from, but this is going to be particularly difficult because we've lived these characters for a number of months. We've been these characters. You have to become them for the show. Like, you know, it's not just that you can come into your dressing room and go, all right, on I go as Kevin T tonight. You need to get into the zone.
Yeah.
And that's going to be hard.
So what is next for St. Agnes's? What is on the roster?
Well, the world's our oyster. Our next sort of planned big show is The Witches of Eastwick in April 26th in the Grand Opera House. So back to our usual home, which will be lovely. But between now and then, I mean, we've definitely got our Christmas programme coming up. Our lovely festive spirits will probably have a concert that's still sort of in the works. And then my favourite thing to do is when we go caroling in various places, you know, shopping centres. There's a little community farm that's my favourite because the donkeys are really cute. So that will be happening. And then, yeah, Witches is going to be really fun, really female-led cast in that. And we have such incredible female talent in our company. Like, it's crazy.
Will there be some people flying?
Hopefully flying. We'll see. We'll see.
You never know. I mean, people get to spin on this during this show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, all the movements. So it's going to be a jam-packed year ahead.
Wow. Awesome. Well, good luck to everyone. And thank you so much. And thank you for doing the story justice.
Honestly, and on behalf of the company, thank you and all Reliance Hospitality for your support. It's greatly appreciated. And just as a random act of kindness, we'd just like to give you a little memento on behalf of the company for
Thank you.
All your support. It's been a great pleasure having you here and all the team. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's our
Thank you.
pleasure. This episode is brought to you by Reliance Hospitality Global, where hospitality meets strategy. Whether you're developing your next hotel, need help navigating operations, or you're looking to increase profitability through our expert consulting and business process outsourcing services, Reliance has you covered. From boutique independents to full-service brands, we help owners, investors, and partners unlock value at every stage. Visit RelianceHospitality.com to learn more, and let's build something remarkable together. This episode of Check-In with Bryan is a production of RH Media Productions, hosted by Bryan Fish, executive producer Tyler Alexander, marketing support provided by Sunny Timbler. Thanks for checking in. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss this week's Friday checkout coming this Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Reliance Hospitality Global Incorporated or any of its affiliates, partners, or subsidiaries. All content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be interpreted as professional or legal advice.